Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajwa and I hope this video finds you well. If you are new to this place, please consider subscribing. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support and welcome back. So I decided to try a new approach to filming because someone pointed out to me that I'm a little too serious when she watches my videos. It seemed like I'm not having fun, which I actually do not, because anytime I pull out my phone to film, I guess feel like I need to be like 100% committed. I get like very tensed for the most part, like almost 2 years here on YouTube, but any single time I pull out my phone to film, I really get tensed because I want to get it right. Coupled with the fact that people will criticize everything that you say, your diction, to your pronunciation, to your choice of words, to um trying to judge how well you know something that you are talking about. And it's like a whole lot of things run through my mind when I'm filming. If you have realized, I don't really have a lot of, uncut or unedited videos. Almost all my videos are edited because I say something, I feel like, maybe I didn't put it well. I need to go back to refilm that portion. So my videos are always like cut, put together, and it doesn't really flow for the most part to me. So I'll try and be a little more relaxed. I don't know why I'm always tense. I just feel like, I need to do the right thing like every single time. So today I'll just be having my breakfast whilst I do this video. It's going to be a haul video. I have 7 fragrances here to share with you. Two of them are going to be decants and five of them are going to be full size bottles. So I'm going to have my breakfast, which is going to be Milo. We call it Milo. Sometimes people call it tea. I normally have Milo for breakfast. I've been doing intermittent fasting for the past 5 years, so I normally don't take anything in the morning until after 11:30, 12, a.m. That is when I eat something. So normally I go with Milo and milk and then some bread or biscuit. But today I'm having king cracker with my Milo drink. And I also prefer to have my Milo with ice in it. I can hardly drink Milo, hot. I will feel nauseated like as soon as I drink hot Milo or hot chocolate. I prefer my chocolatey drinks very chilled and preferably with some ice. So that is what I do most mornings. Most mornings I'm having Milo. I also like oats. I prefer oats also in the morning, and I also do a lot of morikoko, as we call it here, or corn porridge. Like locally, you go to the mill, you mill your corn and use it as for porridges. So it's either I'm taking Milo or oats or morikoko in the morning. That is basically what I used to break my, my intermittent fasting around 11:30, 12, is it AM or PM, that is what I normally do. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce the fragrances to you. I'm going to start it off with Mahajan Gold by Lattafa, which I feel has been under the radar. I think this one was launched in 2022, but it didn't really gain the traction that maybe I think it deserved to have, got. I just feel at the time of its release, Baby Cat, which is supposed to be what it's duping, was not super hyped up. I think Baby Cat was hyped up around a year and a half ago, and this one was released like 2 years ago. So this didn't really gain the traction because a lot of us didn't know what Baby Cat was. Maybe the niche world they did, but a lot of us who were into Middle Eastern and dupe, fragrances didn't know much about it. So it sort of, ran under the radar. People really didn't pay a lot of attention to it because I haven't really seen this much on YouTube, on Instagram, on social media in general. What I would say is Rifakat was released at the right time. Rifakat gained the traction it needed because it was released at a time where Baby Cat was, popularized on YouTube. Everybody was talking about it, and then Paris Corner released it at the right time where people could, get to know how Baby Cat smelt like. And I think it also sort of, killed the buzz on this one. And people really didn't know what this one was duping. So probably that is what accounted for this one not being hyped or gaining the traction that I think it should have got. This is a very beautiful fragrance, and I think I'm going to do a comparison between this one with a cat and then Nile Queen. I will do that, and I'm also on a search for other baby cat dupes. Maybe I'll just do a video on all the dupes of baby cat fragrances that I have in my collection. So this is the first one. The next decant is going to be Al Nashama by Lattafa, which is supposedly a dupe for Initials Paragon. And I already have a dupe of that, which is Vintage Radio. And if you have been on this channel, you realize that I'm not really a huge fan of Vintage Radio as a fragrance for myself. And sadly, because of that reason, anytime I saw Al Nashama, I never had the urge to try that fragrance, until yesterday. Surprisingly, I think I like this one so much better than the Vintage Radio because I think there's something in the Vintage Radio which was overdone. It's much more creamier than this one. This one is less creamier and much more of that plum. I get a plum in this one more than I get in Vintage Radio. This one feels much more fruity, much more less intense, or less intense as compared to Vintage Radio. So there's something about this one that feels much more wearable to me. I just feel like either that lavender or Palo Santo, if that is how they call it, was quite overdone in the Vintage Radio, and it gives it a very warm room or candle feel to me as compared to this one, or as opposed to this one, which I feel is like less creamy and more fruity, and a little less woody. I would have loved to have picked this one in full bottle and rather have the Vintage Radio in a decant, but it's unfortunate that was the one I picked, earlier. So this is Al Nashama by Lattafa, and I think I prefer this one to the Vintage Radio. So the next fragrance I have here is going to be one that a lot of people are hyping up, and I think this one rightly deserves the hype. I don't know how people will feel after spending like $300+ on a fragrance only for a house to come out with a dupe which costs about $50, which is still quite pricey considering it is a Middle Eastern house or Middle Eastern fragrance. For me, anything above $40 is expensive when it comes to Middle Eastern fragrances. My preferred price points are between 20 and 30. Even 20 or $30, I would not necessarily say it is like the most affordable, depending on your pocket, your income, and how you perceive fragrances in general, but for me, I think 20, 25, $30, it's quite moderate, for me to enjoy any fragrance without pinching myself for paying too much. But I think this one is a little too high. But it is duping something that I think a lot of people have been anticipating a dupe for like almost a year now. And this is going to be Bayn Al Asrar by Paris Corner. The name is quite like a tongue-twisting one, so you have to take your time when pronouncing such names, Middle Eastern, Arabian. I'm not Arabic, so I'm learning, and this is a very beautiful presentation, as you can see here. It opens up like a booklet, where you have the pages here that you can flip, and then the fragrance is here, very pretty, sitting majestically here. It smells pretty and divine as the bottle. Very pink, like baby pink, very light. It gives off like a very airy, breezy, light, feminine vibes even before you test out the fragrance. And the fragrance gives you exactly what the packaging is giving, a very light version of the OG Amouage guidance. I have just a decant of that. I try to test them side by side. It's going to give you like a 95%, accuracy, if I should put it that way. The only difference I find between these two is that Bayn Al Asrar is going to give you a lighter version of guidance, whereas the original guidance is much more denser and a little more darker. There's something about it which feels like darker and slightly gothic to me. In as much as I would describe Bayn Al Asrar as a lighter version of the OG guidance, I will not take light as the literal meaning of light, like something that is like watered down to the point that you don't smell the fragrance itself. It's like an EDT version of the EDP guidance. That is how I would simply describe this one. The scent profiles are like basically the same, like 95%. So consider this one as an EDT version of the OG guidance, which is like a very super room filling fragrance. This one follows suit. It is, it leaves a very beautiful, long-lasting scent trail, or sillage, as people will call it. It doesn't really, I would not say it's beast mode performing currently. It is quite new. This one seemed to me as one of those fragrances that have the potential of becoming much more intense and denser. Although I will not necessarily see it as catching up to the OG one, which is like very dense and intense. I still feel this one holds its own. I think it's one of the better lasting Paris Corner fragrances I have come across. It lasted about 7 hours on skin, yesterday when I picked it up. I wore it to bed. I woke up this morning. I could still, smell it on my skin, not just on my bed, but on my skin. I also feel this is going to do so much better on clothes. I'll give you an update, obviously, after some time. But this is a very beautiful hazelnut. I get much more of that hazelnut in the pear and the rose. That is what I predominantly get. Very beautiful, honestly. It feels very feminine, very pretty. Paris Corner didn't add any touches of their own. They gave us like 100% replica of the OG guidance. They didn't add any Middle Eastern twist to it. It gives you guidance as soon as you spray this one. If you are familiar with the scent guidance, which a lot of us, I think at this point are, even if you have not smelled guidance before, it's been described and spoken about like countlessly to the extent that I feel, even if you have not come across it, you might have a fair idea of how it smells, quite unique, very feminine. It also comes to me as a bit gothic. There is something about it which feels dark, sultry, and gothic, but I don't necessarily get that gothic sort of, nuance in this one, just because I feel it is like dialed back, just a bit. However, it is still going to give you that 95%, almost 100% guidance vibe. It becomes quite difficult to determine which one is guidance and which one is Bayn Al Asrar at some point when you do the side-by-side comparison, because guidance, although very potent, it tones down as it dries down, and it sort of becomes the same thing as this, so just consider this one as the EDT version to the OG guidance. Although the current price I consider quite high, I think it is still worth it. But if you can wait it out, it is going to go down considerably. But this one is so beautiful. One of my most anticipated fragrance for this year was Cheriosa by Lattafa. I couldn't wait to get that fragrance, and the price they asked for when it was, fresh, even currently, it is still on the higher side. When I compare the price and what Quentin Beach Lattafa gave us, compared to the price of this one and the quality of the juice, I think this one beats that one just a little bit, Because of that exclusivity that this DNA has, coupled with the uniqueness, I think I'm just going to go with this one as compared to Cheriosa. Although to me, Cheriosa is like one of my top 10, not top 10, maybe top 15 in my current fragrance, if I'm supposed to rank them. Cheriosa is going to be maybe top 15, top 20, but it's not going to be my top 10 if I should just tell you the truth. I've picked up quite a number of fragrances which I feel I prefer, a little more over Cheriosa, so this one is a very beautiful one. If you really want to try it out and you are contemplating because of the price, this is going to be the way to go. With this next fragrance, I actually filmed a dedicated video for it or to it, but somehow it didn't really turn out the way I wanted it. What I said about it, I was not super confident about it at all, so I think I'm just going to rework on it, and deliver quite soon. And this is going to be Cleopatra by Hamidi. It comes in this cone, box package, which is very beautiful. The packaging is like leather, I know it's like faux leather, but it's still very well made. It doesn't feel light, it feels very solid. And this is how the fragrance, is sits in the package. It's called Cleopatra by Hamidi. And I think Hamidi is one of the sister companies to, is it Afnan? I think so, And apparently this one is supposedly a dupe for Creed Camina. I was able to go to the mall to compare the two because I don't have Creed Camina. I don't have a decant of it, but I went to the shopping mall to test it out. I'll be bringing you that comparison video with Creed Camina, but for now, all I can say is this is a very beautiful, pretty, feminine, quite close to the original, not like 100% accurate dupe, but it will give you the same vibe, the same feel. At some point, they smell so much alike, but there is a significant, difference somewhere. So I'll share that with you when I share the full detail review of this fragrance. But this is Cleopatra by Hamidi. The next fragrance is a body mist I love. This is a floral. I'm not really into floral fragrances, but I think violet is something, I should be looking into more, because anything that has violet, I seem to gravitate towards. And this is going to be So de Janeiro Cheriosa 59. This I love, I love how the violets, are the main character here, but it's still not, it doesn't come across as like too floral to me. I'm not like a huge fan of florals, but this I love. Honestly, it feels like a candied, sugary, sweetened violet to me, with that hint of vanilla. Very pretty. It feels very pretty, very pretty. It doesn't come across as intense and thick and dense. It feels like airy, pretty, candid violet. It lasts forever on clothes. I was surprised by the performance of this as compared to the Cheriosa 62 and even the 71. This one lasts, it can last for like at least 8 to 10 hours, even a day after. When I pick up my clothes, which I wore the previous day, I can still smell this one on my clothes. It doesn't give me anything annoying floral. Some florals sort of, put me off because they can be a little too intimidating and a little too much. But I love violets. I've come to the realization that I love violets. And 59 is a typical example of how I want my florals to be made, not too heavy. Even if it's like a single floral note, it has to be incorporated into something else, which will not make it seem too floral and too heady and too, old school. A lot of florals can come across as a bit old school to me. This is a great example of how I want my florals to be done. Cheriosa 59 by So de Janeiro, a very pretty one. The next fragrance I have here is supposedly a dupe of a masculine fragrance. When I read the reviews of the original fragrance and how it was, perceived to be a very likable unisex fragrance, I thought of the need to pick this one. It said it had citron and vanilla and other, freshies. I know summer is approaching and I wanted a catalog of fragrances I can recommend for the season, especially for my brothers and sisters or my audience who do not live in my part of the world, where it is like perpetually summer. And this fragrance is going to be Paris Corner Autobiography Citron Vanille. This is a very steady, heavy, pretty bottle. It feels very weighted, something that if it falls on your leg, it's going to hurt you. Honestly, it feels very weighted. I thought it was a 100 ml bottle until I read it and realized it's 65 ml. So the juice is not that much in it. However, it is a very beautiful one. I love the scent profile. It leans a bit masculine, but almost, unisex to me. It has that citron, which is like a lemon, in the lime lemon family. But it dries down much more of an orange scent to me. I'll have a full dedicated video to this one. It's a very beautiful one. If you can still find it on the Paris Corner website or around your vendor, I think you should give it a try. It's going to be something that, quite easy reach for the summer. The citruses, the vanilla is like summer vanilla, the vanilla is not like too heavy in this one, so I'll not give you all the gist here. I'll just reserve it for when I give a dedicated video to it. But the bottle is so pretty. This bottle is very weighted, so I don't think you want this one to fall on your leg. And the last fragrance I have here is going to be from Fragrance World. I've seen this one around. I think I've seen Mace Bella with this fragrance. I've seen a couple of people, with this fragrance. And I was super intrigued by that, and I'm also getting ready for my summer catalog, to share with my audience as well as enjoy it myself. And this one is going to be YUZU by Fragrance World. I was interested in this one because of the YUZU note, I think there are 3 in that range. I think I've seen salt and cocoa, salt and cocoa, but I don't think I'm going to pick up the cocoa because it's been compared to Nebras. And the salt, I'm not too sure what it's been compared to, but it didn't really intrigue me as much as this one did, because of the note of yuzu. I'm getting ready for my summer catalog, so I'm picking up fragrances with like light citruses, easy wear. And this I found to be quite interesting, especially the main note it has, yuzu. It's a very pretty one. It leans slightly masculine, it has that slight masculine edge to it, but also very unisex in my opinion. I've had it for like 2 weeks now, and honestly, I enjoy this one. Honestly, I do enjoy this one on myself. It's very refreshing. It is something that you can easily go through, you need to be or go a little heavy on the spray because it is very light, very light. It doesn't come across as overbearing, even if you overspray. And I love to overspray this one because of that. It gives you something a bit tart, as that lemony tart thing that you get when you bite into a lemon. It gives you that, and I enjoy that. And it's also a bit green. It reminds me of a niche fragrance I have, and the top is magnetic too. As soon as you do this one, it's like magnetic. Very beautiful, And this one is super affordable. I think I picked this one for about $10, super, super affordable, very refreshing. It is quite a simple one. I wasn't planning on doing any dedicated video to this one, but I think I'm going to do it and compare it to gin tonic and one other fragrance that I think it smells alike or similar to, which I already have in my collection. A very beautiful, simple one, So I got these 7 fragrances. That is all I got for today, but I'm also looking at getting or picking up some decants maybe tomorrow or later in the day when I'm done with my my day. Probably I'll pick those 3 decants. There are 3 from the same line. A very beautiful one. I was able to test one of them yesterday, but it wasn't available for purchase, So I found another vendor who has all 3 in the series. It's from Cartilage, So I'll get those 3. Preferably in decants. I don't want to pick up any full bottle yet, and then let you know about how I feel about those fragrances or introduce them on this channel to you too. That will be it for today, and I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. I would truly appreciate that, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye bye.